We are poor little land away. Ba, ba, ba.
Alright guys, this is what we've got going on here. We've got an Avalon that's about a year old. It's having some compression issues. The rifle got to where it was only shooting about 330 FPS, which is way lower than it should be. He put a M120 spring in it. The M120 spring only knocked it up to about 350 to 360 FPS, which it should be over 400 with that spring. That tends to make us think there's some pretty good compression issues going on. Little research online, and it has led us to believe that it is probably or possibly the O-ring that goes around the piston is either dry or worn or something of that nature. So Conrad is going to endeavor to dig into the mech box of the rifle, get the piston out, inspect the O-ring, lube it or replace it or stretch it as needed. It should be added. This is not necessarily intended as a tutorial of what to do, because we really don't know what we're doing. This is exploratory surgery, and he has some experience digging around in mech boxes, but not an awful lot, and I have zero experience digging around in mech boxes. One thing that bothered me on the internet is that there was no really good videos I could find that showed fine details of what to expect every step along the way as you pull one of these rifles apart. That's the reason we're making this video, is because it's going to show us step by step. There's going to be some stuff done right, there's going to be some stuff done wrong, there's going to be a cat attacking me from underneath the table. All this is good because it's all an opportunity to learn. And with that, Conrad, get at it.
Okay, so the first step, you're going to want something to punch out this pin right here. I like to use a screwdriver personally. I think it works pretty good most of the time. And it takes a little bit of force. You're just going to lift up the rifle and push all the way through. And then with that, you're going to push it up. And once it hits this point, you'll notice that it just ran into a block there. So lift that up on this part here. Slide it all the way forward. And then you just set this part of the rifle to the side. You don't really need it anymore, and it's no longer prevalent. So once you have that part done, you're going to want to pull the stock off of the gun. In order to do that, you open it, make sure all of your batteries are unplugged, pull any batteries out, and pull the whole stock right off. Now on the Avalon stock, you'll notice that there's a little hole right here. Let me get something to point it out. Right here there's a little hole. There's usually a pin there. I punched mine out and lost it a while back. But that pin will prevent you from sliding all the way off. So you got to take that pin out before you can slide the stock off. So once you have all that done, you can set all of those pieces to the side because you won't be needing them until it comes time to put it back together. Once that's done, you're going to take and find some system of putting a Phillips head screwdriver all the way down the buffer tube. I have this system rigged. We're working on getting a better one, but this is what we have right now. And I personally find that if you use a little light and look down it, which I don't know if you can see there, but there is a little Phillips head in there. So you're going to reach inside with a screwdriver and try to go for that Phillips head. And once you get it in, feel it seat. It's a pain though. This is one of the hardest parts. There it goes. Okay. Of getting the rifle apart. Now you're going to unscrew it, that on, turn the gear.
We have the nuisance animal again. This is Sharu. Sharu, say hi everybody.
Pull that all the way out. And then once that comes off, you're going to flip it kind of like that and shake a little bit.
At that point, you want to be real careful you're not catching those wires. Because if you catch the wires, you can either rip your connector off the end or you can rip the wires off of the gun itself. Neither of which would be a desirable outcome.
So then this little piece is going to fall out. And you can pull the whole buffer tube off and set it to the side. Once again, we won't be needing that until the video is done. I recommend having some sort of little container to put your parts in. That way you don't lose them. This piece here is going to come off. I'm going to set it in the container.
And this is going to be the clip that goes for your sling on your rifle.
Okay. Now we are going to use a set of hex keys to get to the next part. The gun is not made in the US, so you don't use American hex keys. You use metric hex keys. I don't know why we don't use metric to start with. I guess it's just because we're America. It's always a pain to remember which one it is. Sometimes it's just trial and error. Figure out which one's which. Let's see, that one doesn't fit, which means we got to go a size lower. Once you have the size, alright, that ought to fit nice and pretty. There we go. Alright, so this is your motor. That is a 1.5, it appears, or a 2. It's either a 1.5 or a 2. And this is going to be your motor plate down here on the bottom. So you're going to push with your thumb down.
For those who are not familiar, the motor that drives the gun is contained up in the grip of the weapon.
And then you're going to put this on, and then you're going, so you use the angled side to get all of your torque and get it started, and then I like to use the other side because it goes quicker because you can just spin it in your fingers. You're going to pull that out and set it in a little container. And you're going to pull the other side out and set it in a little container as well. So let me get this piece out. Now be careful because there's a little bit of a spring there. You're going to let that up, and there goes your motor plate.
Something you may want to consider is having multiple containers so that if you get screws that are similar, you can set them apart in separate sets.
Now if you look at it, there's going to be a positive and a negative wire here and here.
Now, I'm going to take just a minute and get a separate video of that because I want to be able to hopefully zoom in or maybe even a picture. So we got a picture or photo right here. And you can see right there how it loops around the top, and I'll set that into the video itself.
So you're going to want something to slip underneath and pry. Kind of. It's probably a bad idea, but it's how I've always done it. So you're going to push it right here, and just enough under there to pull it up. You don't want to catch any springs or anything else under there. You just want the black wires.
Take and show that again as he pulled it up. What was it actually attached to?
So let me pull the gearbox or the motor out, and I'll show you.
Okay.
So
he pulled off did both the red and the black wire.
And then your motor should slide right out. Now, if you look at it, there's going to be a piece right here.
Okay, hold it a second. Alright, that little burr, not the round thing, but the rectangular piece.
And then a piece here and a piece
on
here.
The other side. Okay.
And they are marked positive, and the negative just has no markings on it. But the positive one is marked, and that's always going to be your red wire. So it's easy to remember. So you're going to set that aside. It's big enough that you're not really going to lose it, so you don't have to worry too much about throwing it down into a little bin or something. And then you're going to flip the gun up like this. And on the inside...
Now, you told me something special about the routing of the wires inside. Let's talk about that.
That'll be easier to go back to when I'm putting it back together. The wires are routed kind of funny in here, and that's not too important now, but it is important when it comes down to it later, and I will explain that. But there's 2 Phillips head screwdrivers in there, so you want kind of a smaller Phillips head, nothing too little. I think this is the one I used last time. And I love to have a little light of some sort on a tube that you can just reach in there with. That makes life a whole lot easier when you're working. So you can see what you're doing. So you're going to take both of those out.
And these Phillips heads remove the grip itself?
Yes. This will pull the grip itself out. And then you're going to put those, once you get them out, inside of the parts bin.
You need some more jars to put stuff in, Conrad?
Not good.
No? Okay.
So then you're going to wiggle. Just kind of wiggle it, and then that'll slide out. And then you just got to make sure you don't pinch any of your wires. They each slip through a little hole. Take note, the red wire goes up front, the black wire goes in the back.
Let me get a picture of that real quick.
In case of my gun, well, I've already pulled it out a little bit, but
Alright.
the red wire goes in the front, the black wire goes into the back of the grip. That's the case of the Avalon. I'm not truly sure if it's like that with every gun, but that's how it is on the Avalon. So once you get to here,
so there's I actually see 5 holes. Is it the medium side, the very front?
The middle hole is going to be
with the motor
your motor sticks through. So
Okay.
so this is your actual gear on the motor that activates the gearbox. It sticks through this middle hole right here. Then your red wire goes through this front hole. Your black wire goes through this back hole, and you'll see when you put the gearbox on.
Smaller holes for the screws.
And the 2 small holes are for the screws.
Okay.
So once you have this done, this is kind of where things get a little bit more complicated. Nothing too bad.
We're using a towel just so nothing rolls off. We want to make sure we keep everything nice and stable on the table.
So the next step is going to be to take your magazine release out. This is a little bit of a pain, and every rifle's different. In this case, it kind of functions like a real AR's, I think, but it's going to vary from rifle to rifle. I've had some of them where it's just a simple Phillips head screw. This one's a bit more of a pain. You have to push in on the back as far as you can, and then pull here, and then you're going to spin it.
Now, this
So
is
once
where the mystery bearing was.
no, this is not where the mystery bearing.
I was in the safety.
So you're going to spin it around. You're going to keep on going. So remember lefty-loosey, and it's a pain to get it to spin. Let's see on this. Getting it over that little ledge. There we go. Yep. Alright. Once you get it going, you're good. But getting it going is hard. There it goes. There's 3 revolutions, 4 revolutions, and there it came out. And then you're going to want something else to push on this side. This little doodad works great. You're just going to kind of push. Now remember, there's a spring, so you don't want to just let it free fly. Put that there, dump the spring out, aim for your hand.
Now you pushed in for something that came out. How'd that work?
So that was, this was caught underneath the lip right here.
Okay,
So
right, you caught it under the lip when you were trying to push it through.
Yeah, when you push it through, it's going to catch under the lip, and that's why I recommend having this to push it and pull it out.
Okay.
So I'm going to put those back in that parts bin. Once you have that, you're going to want to take your, I'm going to push that back through so it'll sit flat, your magazine release, because this gun does have a functioning bolt lock. Sorry, not mag, bolt release. So you're going to punch right here, some sort of punch, and that'll punch that bolt release right out, drop it in your parts, and then you're going to kind of wiggle it, and it'll shimmy its way on out. Now, it's kind of just wiggling just right. I don't remember exactly how it pulls. All I know is it's going to pull straight out this way.
Now notice you punch this little side pin right here out.
Yep.
Okay, and it just pushes straight forward. It's kind of scary. Think you lose it that way.
Yeah, it's got serration or some sort to hold it all in. Now, we might have to high speed do this. There it goes. Kind of pull it up. There it goes. So that came out right there. I used the scribe to pull it out, but I don't know if that's recommendable or not. So then after this, you're almost gotten to pulling your gearbox out. You're going to take this pin out, so we'll punch this right here.
Now let's say this pin, let's show where it is. That pin is in
Right in front of the
safety, directly over the trigger.
You're going to push it, and keep in mind some of these pins have a little bit more force than others. So once you get it going though, it flies right out. So we'll throw that over there in a separate parts bucket because I've already got pins in the other one. Don't want to get them mixed up. And then you're going to want to take your safety off. Now you have to be really careful doing this. Let me figure out what hex key size this is. I do believe, alright, I need to go down 1, I think. Double check that. Yep. Okay, so we'll go down 1 hex key size. So this is going to be a size 2.5, I do believe. Alright, so then you're going to go lefty-loosey. Now be really careful with this one, and I'll explain why in just a moment. So you're going to pull out this. There's your thing. You pull this up, there's a ball bearing right here. Super easy to lose.
Spot right there.
You're going to pick it up, and you're definitely going to put this in a parts bin. So throw that in there with your safety.
You see, if you can see close, there's a divot right here that ball bearing is going to sit in when you put it back in. And if you don't have it put in there, you're going to have a really bad day. And that bearing, I believe, is going to line up on the back side with this hole right here. So that when you roll it, it goes with the safety and goes through the clicking 1, 2, and 3 for the different positions. That's what gives you that solid snap when your safety gets in the different positions.
Alright, now you're going to flip it over. You're going to do the same thing on the other side. Fortunately, this one has no ball bearings. That's the wrong key. Where'd the other key go?
Right here.
Right there. You stole it from me. You're going to put this key in, spin it just like you did on the last one. And then once you have it out, you're going to drop it in over here. Now it's important to note that the lefty safety is going to be shorter than the right-handed safety. So that'll be important when we come to putting the whole gun back together, and I'll explain it more once we get there. So once you've gotten to this part, you're almost there. You've got one more pin to punch, and then you just kind of shimmy it just right. So we're going to take another screwdriver right here and push right here on this pin. And it can be kind of a pain if you have another screwdriver to kind of tap it. That makes life a little bit easier. So just knock it until it comes all the way out. So you'll push it all the way out. You'll kind of shimmy. Let's see. Alright, gotta pull it just a little bit more. There it goes. Once you have that, the whole gearbox is going to shimmy out. Now notice that I just dropped the gear there. Don't be afraid, that's going to happen.
That gear is part of a match set.
So what this does is this gear is going to sit over here, and I'll explain a lot more into detail on this when I go to putting it back together. But these, since you have a ambidextrous safety, are the gears that control that. So these are the only three. You're going to lose two of them are going to fall off on this side. You're going to have one pull off on this side. You have a third one here, and it's best if you don't worry about touching it. It should stay put. I wouldn't worry too much about it because the way it sits is probably not going to move. So I put these gears somewhere safe, once again, just like everything else that we've fiddled with and taken out. So now we get to the point, you can do everything here without voiding your warranty up to this point. Once you exceed where I'm about to go, except for taking out. So this is your quick change spring. I forgot to take this out real quick. Note that the springs do have a lot more tension than you're going to be expecting. So you're going to push in. Takes a little bit of force. You're going to twist.
Left it loosey.
And it's going to pop out. There it goes. Alright, and there's your spring. So everything I've done up to here you can do without voiding your weapon's warranty. Set the spring off to the side with the spring bearing. Now note, this is on ball bearings, so your spring won't get caught up in there. And that's good for keeping things running. But you'll notice right here there's a little thing that says warranty void if seal broken.
We're fixing to void the warranty, but that's okay because the warranty is already expired. This gun was bought a year and a half ago, give or take. It's outside the wonderful 1-year warranty that comes with the VFCs. So
the next step is going to be fairly simple. You're going to want kind of a smaller screwdriver. You've got these screws right up. So that gear came out, that's fine. Right here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think, yes, so there's going to be another one here that we're going to have to pull off, and then we're going to have to take out this one here. So nothing too much to worry about.
So there's a total of 9 screws.
I believe so. Let me start pulling them off. So this is a good part. You want to look at it and see where every screw goes to.
We're going to go ahead and get another jar here because we got so many different little screws there. We'll put all those screws in the same jar together so they don't get confused with everything else.
You're going to take all of these out. You'll also notice if you look at it, you have ball bearings right here. These are going to be wherever your gears are, and you're going to have to be really careful once you pull this gearbox apart that your shims don't all go flying everywhere. And I'll explain what those are in just a minute. But those ball bearings are good. That maintains the life of your gun. Lets it run far. That's part of the reason I really like the Avalon. It comes with a very well-built gearbox. The sucker's built like a tank. This one's gone through 2 MSW events without a scratch. I never cleaned the thing, which is probably bad.
You have this one for the first trench knife too, right?
Yeah, it's gone through a trench knife mill sim op, countless days out just playing up at the local fields.
So I'll plug in for some of our local fields. We've got Southern Tactical Air Games over in Theodore,
Alabama.
Also known as DAG, Theodore, Alabama. Great place to play. Has a good variety of terrain, and they make some good different game designs there. You've got Evolution Airsoft over in...
We're going to pause the plug real quick, just one sec. So you'll notice that there's a littler screw here, so you don't want to use too big of a screwdriver when you pull this one out, because then you'll strip the screw. You also want to make sure that you use a big enough screwdriver to pull it, hopefully without stripping it, but it is tight in there, so...
Alright, Stag's open for Airsoft every Sunday. Evolution is open, is it every Saturday?
Every other Saturday.
Every other Saturday, and they're in the area of Crestview, Florida. And then one of our favorites also is to go to Beaver Bayou Battlegrounds in Pensacola, and that is a locally ran field, ran by volunteers. Tier 0 is a group that runs it. They do a great job of it. They have built a nice village. Once again, they have a great variety of terrain for different games there, and they make use of all the terrain. It's really a wonderful place to play.
Alright, so you'll notice that this little part came off. This is actually your functioning bolt release. Mine has been giving me trouble. I'm not sure exactly what's wrong with it, but it's nothing major, not too big of a deal. So I'm going to set that over here on the in this box as well. And then watch your little pieces. Things will come off of it. Don't worry too much about them. Just set them off to the side.
So you took off a spring.
So there's a spring right here, which is going to sit. The back end's going to go there, and there's going to be a hole.
A little divot right there.
And that's what holds your bolt catch up. And then there's a little doodad that sits over it to hold it all in.
Alright, the doodad being, let me get it out and put it on my finger here. That is the doodad that sits over it to hold everything together. That just holds the spring in place.
Alright, so then you get to pull a final piece off right here. So once you've done this, you still technically have not voided your warranty because this little seal is still there. You kind of just pull on each side, be very careful, and there that seal popped. And at this point, the warranty is void. So you're going to lift it up and be really careful, flip it over. And you'll notice that there's no shims here, so that made life a little bit easier all the way around. Somehow I have that is a leaf.
Is it a leaf or is it a piece of your piston? That is red plastic like your piston.
Yeah, it might be from the piston.
Yeah, that is a piece of the piston that broke off, which might have something to do with why you're losing compression there.
Maybe. Or is that a leaf? I'm pretty sure it's a leaf. That crumbles like a leaf.
It crumbles like a leaf. It may be a leaf.
And it's right on...
Your eyes are younger than mine.
That kind of looks like a leaf. So, you'll notice this is kind of how the gears work. Let me see if I can get it to... my anti-reversal latch. Cool. So, I'm going to pull... This is going to be your compression assembly right here. So, I'm going to wiggle this kind of on its way out. I want the scribe right here. You'll notice it's caught right there. So, I'm going to lift that up. There you go.
What was called a spring?
This is your tappet plate right here.
Okay, define tappet plate. What does that mean?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think
this
that
piece of plastic.
This piece of plastic right here is your tappet plate.
Okay.
And it's going to sit just like this.
The spring does.
And then the spring will sit right here to hold everything in together.
Okay.
Look. So my anti-reversal latch. So then this is going to be, I don't know the names of all the gears. So yeah. So at this point, your warranty's already void. Here's your tappet spring or anti-reversal latch. That's what this one's called. And this is going to be the biggest pain when it comes to putting this back together. Just because of how it's going to have to sit.
As if you can't see, flip it over on the little spring that was on that thing.
There's a little spring that sits on it that pushes up against this. You notice all these little notches, and that's what keeps it from falling back and spinning back when you're pulling the motor. So that's kind of an important part of the gun, I'd say, in my opinion. So once you've done this, really all of the work we're going to be doing is going to be focused right here on this. So you'll notice mine is nasty.
Okay.
So that's where we're focusing all of our cleaning.
Before we clean it, let's do a compression test on it.
Okay, so if you want to test your compression, what you're going to do is you're going to put
a little lower so it'll be in focus.
You're going to take your piston, you're going to push it in here, you're going to push it right up to there, and you're going to put your finger over the front, and you're going to push. So you notice mine is doing all right, but it's not great.
No, it's not. It's definitely not pushing back. It's just giving.
It's just giving way. So I've got compression loss somewhere. Now, the first spot I personally am going to check is going to be right here on this O-ring. So my hands are all nasty now. Yeah, but that's fine.
I'm going to send our gopher out to the shop to grab a couple grease rags, please. Thank you, sir.
So I'm going to look real close at this. It does not appear to have any form of cracks, so it is likely just lubrication that it needs.
Doesn't look too dirty. Well, it looks dirty, but not bad.
Certainly.
Here, so we're going to clean the inside of this too.
The goal, we're going to wipe everything down. We're going to spray everything up with silicone. Maybe a tad of grease. No, we'll probably stick with silicone.
I'm not noticing any leaks going around the whatever you call this piece.
That's going to be your air nozzle.
Air nozzle.
And I'm going to also fix the compression on that. So this is a there's a couple of different parts that you're going to have compression loss on. This is going to be one right here. That's going to be your O-ring. And you'll notice that this is ported, so we're probably going to wipe off the ports, clean those out a little bit too. You're going to have some compression loss in between here and here, which is easily fixed with the glorious use of silicone or silicone tape. Teflon tape, my bad. And then you're going to have a little bit, not a lot, between this piece and your piston.
Okay, you need to hold them lower than it would be in focus.
And you'll notice this does have an O-ring here, so I'm going to try first to oil everything and see if that fixes any of my problems. And if it doesn't, then I'm going to go to the more extreme Teflon tape.
All right, define oil.
I'm going to spray silicone oil on it in the hopes that it seals it.
Okay, and for the silicone oil, what he's using is some Elite Force, I guess that is, slick silicone spray oil.
Yep. All right. So I'm going to wipe down this a little bit, nothing too much. Try and get some of this excess grease out of here. I don't see too much point in having all that. It's just a lot of mess. And a lot of this is probably gunk. It was most likely a lot cleaner when the gun was first purchased. But note, the gun's been owned for a year and a half. It's been through multiple milsim ops, so
many bottles of BBs have been fired through it.
It's going to be a bit nasty. I'm going to wipe here. Alright, that looks fairly clean. Now I'm going to wipe off my O-ring. Now, what I'm about to do now is going to be stretching the O-ring. Did you grab a lighter?
I did not, but I can.
Would you please do that?
No, let me go. I'm going to use the different one.
So if you will pause for a moment.
So why are we stretching the O-ring?
We are stretching the O-ring in the hopes, so you'll notice when the O-ring sat inside here, it didn't really widen out. And the holes are built so that when it pushes air, it'll push the O-ring out. And our goal is to make the O-ring wider around so that when the cylinder pushes forward, the O-ring has more contact with the outside in order to help with the compression. So what we're going to do is we're going to stretch the O-ring around the outside of your piston. Cylinder, my bad. And then we're going to take a lighter. You're going to run the lighter. You don't want to burn it now, but you do want to quickly just run it all the way around. Heat it up. Your goal is just to get it more malleable. So you're going to run it.
Kind of warming it up a little bit.
And now you're going to let it cool just for a minute. Try not to burn yourself. Okay, now we're going to take it off. We're going to put it back on up here.
Now, have you cleaned the inside of your cylinder yet?
Yeah, I already cleaned that. And you'll notice it looks a little bit better, so we're going to push the cylinder in. And I'm going to put my thumb over the front again.
Sorry about that shake. The dog just attacked the tripod.
And I'll put my thumb over it. And that's much better resistance that I'm getting. So when I push, the gun gives me the piston gives me much better pushback. You'll notice it actually just pushed it all the way straight off the back there.
That's awesome. Maybe that's going to fix the issues.
So that's a lot better of a push. Now it's still sliding through, but it takes a lot more force to do that. And it's likely, so what I'm going to do here now is, I think...
Clean that all up too.
Clean that all up.
Did you clean this side?
No, I've not wiped it. So if you wipe the inside of that out, I'm going to wipe a little bit of the grease off. I'm going to hit this with some silicone spray. Actually, yeah. So I'm going to spray this with a hint of silicone, and I'm going to go ahead and straight on the Teflon, put just a little bit of Teflon tape on there. Nothing excessive now, but a little bit. So this is the Teflon tape, actually. We're going to, yeah, so we're just going to put the Teflon tape. You have scissors?
Got a pocket knife?
That'll work. So if you'll cut me a length of Teflon.
Right here?
Yep. And then I personally like to push this kind of far forward, stretch it all the way around, stretch this all the way around, and then you want to roll it. You don't want anything to be inside the actual cylinder. So
Alright, apparently we timed out on that video, so we're starting a new one. What's going on here is he has just finished putting the Teflon tape around the nozzle area, before he slips it back into the cylinder. I'm going to check this camera as well and see if it's timed out. It did. So we're going to start again. There's that timer going again.
That one's still rocking.
Yeah, that one will rock all day.
So now that I've Teflon taped this up, I'm going to push it back into the cylinder. And that gives me a lot better positive seal there, I think. Like I was trying to say earlier before the timer's all timed out, you don't want to create a bigger problem than you already had when you're fixing your gun. So you really don't want to leave any little bits or pieces that could break off or tear. So now I'm going to push the cylinder back in. I'll put my thumb over it just like I did, and I'm going to test it again. So you notice that's solid right there. That's really good.
Not getting any leakage at all.
Not getting any leakage at all. So the last place that we're going to check is going to be right here.
And what is this?
This is, I don't even know exactly. This is a nozzle. It pushes right here, and it's going to sit right there. So we are going to have some leakage here for sure. I can tell you that right now. So when I push, actually no, it sits solid. All right, so this does have an O-ring inside of it, and it sits a lot better than I was expecting. Let's see if I... Yeah, I mean, you heard the pop. That was me letting my finger up, and it hit in the front. Oh, my finger's fat. I'm still going to put just a little bit of Teflon tape up around the edge. Not a lot. This you really don't need much at all. So I'm going to do like this. I'm going to just yank it. No, never mind. That didn't work out right.
Now, if it's not leaking, I wouldn't put it there.
Sure.
Yeah, if it's already solid, let's not overdo it. A little shout out to the Airsoft Teching page on Facebook. That's where Conrad went to try and figure out what was going, and they responded that it more than likely was going to be that O-ring link.
Some leakage there.
And one of our local Tier 0 guys that runs Beaver Bayou also chimed in there and agreed with that statement when it was given. How about we do a nice clean?
I was just, yeah. All right, so you can cut right there. You don't need a lot. You should never need too much Teflon tape. Teflon tape is a finicky material. Does not.
It's very stringy. What's your goal here? I thought you didn't have any air leakage around that.
I just checked it again, and there's a little bit. Not there, so there's a little bit of leakage right here. Not a lot. Not much worth noting, but now there should be none. So I'm going to push this back on over. Push it down. No, that did not work. Okay.
I was wondering about that.
So in fact, I'm probably just going to leave that be. I'm going to use the scribe to pull this out because I don't want to leave any.
Now, when you use a scribe, you got to be careful. You got plastic there, and you start gouging that plastic with that metal scribe chip, then you will definitely get an air leak.
Absolutely. Okay.
So let's get that little burr of Teflon off there. Okay.
That still should be good. I mean, that was solid right here. So, I mean, at this point, there was nothing when it comes out to meet up with it. Seems pretty good because the way it's going to work is just going to slide out a little bit to meet up, I think. I just remember last time I fixed it, I put a little bit of Teflon, so we're going to try one more time. Just a little hint of it, not a lot. Okay.
Got enough to go around it?
I think so.
I don't think so. My calibrated eye says otherwise.
Calibrated eye was correct. So we'll cut another piece about the same size and meet them.
I don't know that that's a good idea because then you'd have uneven levels on the two sides. So you just hold that piece. I'm going to take this piece off.
I don't think this piece will go all the way around either, but...
Okay. Well, I'd rather not have any more bumps in there than you absolutely have to. Because every bump is an area that allows for an air gap.
I'm going to use the back side of the scribe right here and push it all the way around. There we go. That's pretty well round.
No, not quite. Let's
Almost
try one more
over.
time.
Alright, yeah.
Make it a little bit bigger this time.
You don't want to make it too thick though, which is kind of a...
Okay, hold it where you won't need it. This time I'll cut it right about there. That should be enough to do it.
Okay. Sorry I came off camera. I needed to hold this closer to me. There we go. That did go all the way around. Now it's just a game of getting it to seal up. The Teflon tape kind of sticks to itself, so once it's good, it's good. I'm going to put this nozzle back on, see if that
went better.
Alright, that appears to have definitely helped. So now that that is done, we're going to work on putting this all back together. I'm going to lubricate things a little bit, so Elite Force silicone spray. I'm just very lightly going to find the backside of this. I'm going to dust.
Let's do it on this.
Well, alright, so I'm just going to dust the O-ring a little bit. I'm going to dust right here. Nothing excessive, just a dusting of it, and then I'm going to kind of shake everything off. I'm going to dust the whole inside of here, and that ought to do that. So now I'm going to push all this together, check it one last time. That seems really solid to me, in my
Whole lot better than it was.
Unprofessional opinion. So
now comes the fun part.
Putting everything back together. Now this is where it helps to take pictures along the way, stuff like that.
And that's a major reason we did this video documentation, so if we get to a no crap moment here in a little bit and don't remember how things went, then we have that to refer back to.
So you'll notice that there's a little groove right here. The tappet plate's going to sit just underneath that. A little groove in the cylinder.
Let me get a photo of that so we can add that to our thing. So we got a groove right there. I see it. Whoops! No, hold it. You didn't get. Let me get the photo. All right, there we go.
The tappet plate will sit right underneath there. And the goal is to push the tappet plate all the way up, and then you're going to...
Whoops! Down with the GoPro. Yeah, the helmet's not there for being pretty. The helmet's there to hold the GoPro.
You're going to catch right here, slide it out. The goal is... Oh, there it went. So the goal is to catch it right there on that little...
And I'm going to come over him and show a close-up of what he's putting here when he gets it in.
Actually, this corner piece on the scribe should work beautifully. So I can get it to catch. There it goes.
And there's the photo of that.
So once that's done, you can start putting back together. Now I'm just going to list off kind of a couple of little parts on here. These are your. This is your center gear. So what happens when your gun fires? The wires go through here. So your battery's plugged in over here. All right. So your battery plugs in. It runs whenever you pull the trigger up here. It releases something somewhere. Your wires run through. This is your MOSFET here.
Get in there.
And you can see it shrink wrapped, kind of watertight seal right here. It's going to run through, activate your motor, which will send up.
So these wires come.
These wires come down to your motor.
As it goes into it and goes out it from the motor.
Right up here. So let me go get a motor. Actually, it's right here, and it's going to push up right into here on that, and you'll see how it just clicked right there. And when the motor spins, it spins all
right there. Let me get a picture of how that's supposed to look.
That's kind of where your motor's going to sit now. The angle of I don't even know what you call it in here, but that's not going to be perfect. Now, you'll notice, I don't know if I have any sitting in here. There might be a couple of shims in here. I don't appear to... That's kind of... So you'll notice there's a little disc right here. That's called a shim.
Okay, let me get a picture of your shim. Where are we at? There we go. Right there's the shim. And is that something that can fall out?
I'm not sure about this one. Be careful if you see them. Make sure that they all go back where they were, because otherwise your gearbox is going to be rough. So I'm going to put the anti-reversal latch back in. let's see.
The anti-reversal latch, I want to get a good photo of what that is.
The anti-reversal latch is going to go right there.
Right where, point it out with your scribe to me.
Right here.
Okay, so we got that piece right there. Good. And there's spring that was on it.
It's already. I already put it back. So then it's going to push back real
can
quick.
You point real quick where the spring connects at? So I'm going.
So you're going to have a spring point up here. You'll see it kind of right there.
All right, that's one. And a spring point right where?
Right here.
All right, let me come around the other side of you here. We're going to get that other photo of that other spring point right there. Okay.
Okay. Now, please keep in mind, we don't know everything that we're doing. This, in my opinion, last time I took apart a gearbox, it was a Valken, and the anti-reversal latch almost made me cry, because putting it back together is a pain. You should know that going in. This one appears to hold up pretty well. So you hear that click right there? That's actually what's helping to fire your gun. And there the anti-reversal latch went. That's okay, though. I can fix that. That's not a problem. So we're going to pull it back out. Put this right back where it's supposed to be. Push it in. Alright, so I'm just going to leave that be for now. This is your delay. This lets the piston pull back. There's all sorts of fun little toys in here that activate all sorts of fun little different things. So at this point, the gearbox is pretty well put back together. Make sure all of your wires are where they're supposed to be. I'm going to grab the silicone spray right here, and I'm going to kind of just dust my gears. And then I'm going to dust this side. And I'm going to put the shell back halfway on. And the other half of the shell back on. I'm just going to kind of push it and wiggle it. And it should all slip right back in together.
Alright, I just totally got sidetracked. Anything there we needed pictures of?
Nope.
Excellent. Everything mounted together nicely.
Everything should just sit right together.
It's
not, so I'm going to pull this back up. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to push this up. Aha! So currently, that was where my problem was.
Explain what that was.
So my piston right here was twisted and not where it was supposed to be, so I had to twist that back in.
Let me show you what he's talking about. There's a groove.
There's a groove right
on
here.
The piston on the top and the bottom, and the piston got twisted in there, so that it was not in the groove.
Needs to meet here. So I'm going to push this back up. Now, there you go. That was a nice little firming click. There we go.
And we don't have any pinched wires anywhere.
Doesn't appear to be, but it also isn't sitting perfectly. Pull. There we go.
And what was that? Was that your anti-reversal?
That's the anti-reversal latch, I think.
Okay.
Alright, so the gearbox isn't sitting beautiful yet. That might just be all
the gears aren't all
lined up beautiful. That's okay. That's
not really okay.
Well,
the gears kind of need to line up.
Yeah, but that's workable. So I'm going to spin that.
Now, hold on, you got a red gooey right there on your gear. See that?
Ooh. Good call.
Let's get that gooey off. Is that another part of your dead leaf, or is that a piece of the gearbox?
That is a piece of the claw.
Piece of the paw? Okay.
Okay, so now maybe that'll all sit nice and pretty together. Like I said, it really helps to have some sort of little flashlight so you can look at all the little pieces and parts and see what's not fitting. So currently I'm going to have to shift this gear over. There, that one's set.
And he's using a scribe and the hole to get all the different little center pieces of the gears and the anti-reversal latch to line up. And now everything's nice and snug. Oh yeah, it's good. It's tight on this side.
Still, the anti-reversal latch still give me a little bit of trouble, so I'm going to use the scribe just a minute more. So I think it's the anti-reversal latch, and I'm going to come in and push it from this back side. See that wiggle right there? Something isn't sitting beautiful. So,
is it trigger? Does it have a piece that comes up?
something in the back. I believe it's the anti-reversal latch. I'm going to pick this back up one more time and take another look at it. Might. Alright, so this is why we took pictures of everything. There we go. The anti-reversal latch just wasn't sitting down all the way, it appears, I think. I hope. So that just made my life easier. If not, that kind of makes me want to cry. That's okay, though. Beautiful. Okay, so everything just sat down and pushed together. I think, I hope. Alright. So, we're going to get a couple of screws. Now, something big and important to remember is you never screw everything in all the way until you have all your parts there.
If you try and do that, if you try and torque in one side and then put your other screws in, it's not going to seat right. So you get everything sort of kind of snug, all your screws started and most of the way in, and then when you go to screw it, you kind of go cattywampus of each other. So you screw one on this side, then one on that side, then one over here and one over there. So you're not working a circle around it, tightening it. You're going crisscross back and forth across the item you're tightening up. In this case, being the mech box.
You do the same thing with car tires and license plates, whatever you want to put together. So right now I'm just getting them all kind of set. Remember this one, so there's one screw that has a flat top, and that's going to go right up here on the front.
All the others around it.
All the others around it.
Alright, that's important to notice. So that flat screw goes up in this front corner just below the nozzle. Uh-oh, you're looking for something.
I put the wrong screws in the wrong spots. Okay, so
I was wondering, because they were sticking mighty far out the other side.
you'll notice you also have, that one's totally on me. I did not pay attention. You have a couple of long screws and a couple of short screws. The long screws are going to be these body screws down here, places like this. That's going to take a long screw. And then the top portion is going to take the short screws. So
You're going to be tempted to use some kind of electric drill to do this. I would not. I don't know what quality steel or aluminum or metal these bodies are made out of, and I certainly don't know what quality screws they're putting in here. When you start torquing things with electric drills, you run the risk of stripping out what you're trying to tighten up. And once it's stripped, there's not a heck of a lot you can do about it. You're just going to have to replace that part that's stripped.
and replacing screws is a pain, especially when they're threaded a certain way.
Or replacing the casing of your mech box, which is what is more likely to strip on there, I think.
And mech boxes are not cheap. I don't know the exact price on them. All I know is that I would not want to be buying a new one. I really hope this fixes my problem, because otherwise I get to do all of this fun stuff again. Alright, so I've gotten them all in now, so I'm going to start tightening. I'll start right here. And on this front one, tighten it down tight, and then I'm going to come over here to the corner.
Don't you pull this out from
I'll
inside?
no.
Oh.
Tighten it down tight. Come over here. I'm trying not to strip the screws. Phillips head screws are notorious for stripping, so be really careful about that. I'm going to come up here, tighten this down tight. Okay. Come over here, tighten this one down tight. Actually, kind of tightened one side before the other, which is kind of a no-no, so I'll start and do this one. Try not to strip them. Come right here. And I'll hit this one. Alright, so the mech box looks to be all sealed up, nice and pretty. Hopefully it is. Everybody say a little prayer right now in the video. I'm going to put my spring back in, so that's over here. Remember we took that out earlier. So I'm going to push it right here. Let's see, I want this side back. So you'll notice the more tightly coiled point, in my personal opinion, goes to the back. I don't know exactly how everybody else does it. That's just how I like to do it personally. I'm gonna push.
That makes sense because it would go snug around that little, I'm not sure what you call it, plunger rod.
As far in as you can. You're going to take your Allen key. You're going to get it to seat. Now this is where things kind of become hard because this is a heavy-duty spring. The video kind of makes it look easy, but I promise you it's not.
That's the M120. Once again, righty-tighty.
That locks in. So ta-da, your gearbox is back together, your warranty is voided, and you've done that part. So we're going to put your latch on that activates your bolt catch.
Technically that's your, but...
and then this little doodad is going to sit just, let's see, so it sits like this. Okay, I believe.
Uh-oh. I didn't get a picture of that one either before we started.
Okay, so I know this part goes up like that. That's got to go back to here, but... Oh, wait, no, this goes here, that goes there. Okay. Give me a sec to look at this one. It helps to just look. Sometimes if you get stuck, the trick is not to rush through it. Take a sec, look at it, see where things go.
I think the smooth side's going to go down more than likely.
Maybe, one sec, let me just look at it.
Look at my photo inventory, I don't think I got one of that.
No, but...
No, we'll totally skip that.
What I do know is this has to sit here.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. Well, if that seats itself back in.
Now, was this little...
That little doodad is going to hold it all together. Yes.
And don't forget you got this little catch for your spring. And there's a little screw in there we still have to account for too.
Yep. So we're going to put this catch back on. I hope of keeping our spring in place. It's kind of a little sucker, but that's okay. There we go. No.
Alright, once you get it on, I want to pause for a picture.
Ooh, my shoulder. Alright, tell you what, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start, I want two hands, so I'm going to go ahead and screw that screw right here in. I'm going to screw this screw in here.
That's a wee little bitty
That's a little bitty screw. I think I do believe where to go.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
That's alright, we can shoot it again. That's that little bitty screw that you had to use. Use the... Alright.
Sorry, I know my hand keeps going.
That's alright, you're trying to do a job. Remember, that was the one screw he had to use a smaller screwdriver for. Everything else he used more of a standard, I guess, number 2 size screwdriver. But
this one I used a number 1 precision screwdriver. So then, where'd the little doodad go?
it's right at the bottom of your spring.
Of my what?
Oh, your spring, right here. Here it is.
I'm going to try and push this back on.
It might help to use your scribe or your screwdriver to do that.
That's a good call. It's not wanting to go.
Is it upside down? Does it need to go the other way?
Maybe. That actually would make sense now, wouldn't it? Everything is magnetized. There we go. So you kind of feel a little bit of a click when that sucker sits back down.
So there's going to be a little lip around that pin.
Not a lot, though.
Onto. So now I'm going to zoom out a little bit. We're going to put the picture of what the final product looks like. And now this is upside down from your perspective. Maybe I'll flip it over before I actually put it in the
okay.
video.
So at this point, it's all uphill from here. You're going to take those 4 gears that came off when you were looking at the manual safety. And you're going to look at them. So one of them has an indention, and one of them has a little divot, or it pokes out. The one with
Called a nipple.
A nipple. All right, cool. So the nipple is going to go on the left or the right hand side. So if you're looking, the gearbox sits like this, like you were looking down the gun, this piece goes over here.
Now I notice that you've got a very specific alignment of that notch going backwards.
Yes, so that's going to be, and I'll explain that in a second.
When he gets the other one put in, I'll get a picture of what it's supposed to look like for you.
And then this one's going to slip right through here.
We're working on the right-hand side of the gun. Now wait, hold on. Let me get a picture of that real quick.
And you want to make sure that little notch is facing backwards. Okay, and I will explain why.
Turn it around so I can shoot it
okay.
from a perspective that you would be looking at it when you're working on it, probably. So there we go, and there. All right, and you should be able to see on that photo where the line, that little line's going almost straight back in the alignment of it.
Okay, so once that's done, you're going to push your fingers onto it and flip it over. And you're not going to let go of your fingers, because the minute your fingers let go of it, that little doodad falls apart. Then you're going to shimmy this one in. I found that the best way to get it in is to get a little part of under and then kind of spin it and hope that at some point you can
get it to catch.
Get it to catch. Sometimes you just got to kind of shimmy it under. This one's, there it goes. All right, so there was a little bit of a click on that one, which I didn't care for too much, but it's under now. So then I'm going to push this up so that that'll slide back.
And that is part of your safety. And you notice this piece here sliding back and forth. If we can get a picture real quick, I want to show.
So this little piece right here is going to be sliding back and forth.
And you hope it didn't focus on it. Let's try that again.
That gear causes it to do so.
Now there's a little oblique on the top of the gear that rolls and slides that black metal bar.
Yep. Alright, so now you're going to put this gear on, and it goes along with the gear that was on the other side that has a little bar that pushes through. So you'll notice now this gear is lined up, so there's a long divot and a short divot. If you look at your right-handed safety, there's a short divot and a long divot. And you're going to want it so the short divot is facing backwards. And when you do that, your safety will sit in it like this once you go to put it together. And I'll show that more once I put this actual safety together.
Picture of the long divot and short divot he's talking about. Don't really see. Okay, now I see it.
Okay.
With the flash going off, you can really see those divots he's talking about.
And that side, now you want to make sure that this one's pointing straight back too, because otherwise you're going to be really aggravated because your triggers are going to be, your safeties will be uneven. Your right-handed safety will be off-canted just a little bit. And at this point, it's time to slide your mech box back into your shell here. So you're going to take this wire right here, push it out the back, your 2 motor grip wires, and push them down the bottom.
Okay, we're going to take a brief pause because we're about to time out on our video camera, so I'm going to stop them and restart them.
Alright, so now you're going to slide this in, and once you get it to go, the biggest catch is going to be getting the trigger in. Once you get the trigger into the guard, you're going to pull this pin up, you're going to pull this wire down. Just trying to slide everything in just nice and easy. Remember, slow is steady, steady is quick.
Making sure you didn't let go of those gears before they got held in by the body of the lower part of the weapon.
Okay, and now it's just a game of shimmying it just so it fits just so. There we go, beautiful. All right.
Everything just lined up nice.
All right, and once you get it in just right, everything will sit nice. There we go. Everything will sit nice and pretty. You're going to take this pin right here, and the first thing I do once I get it in is I punch that pin through. That holds everything still. Now we get to start putting stuff back together and hope that everything runs right. So I'm going to start, I like to start with the safeties, with the left-handed, or the lefty's safety first. So I'm going to push it in.
Remember, left safety has a shorter piece on the back of it.
I'm going to spin
it
tight. The right
safety had a longer piece on the back of it.
And then I personally like to set it to semi once I've done that, and then look over here, because that'll make putting the right-handed one on easier. The right-handed one has these little blocks, so it's kind of a pain. And do not forget your ball bearing. Never mind, Lint. So your ball bearing, this is going to be the hard part. You're going to set it on the part where your bar is going. And then you're going to set your safety on top of it. And you're going to set that down. Okay, now you're going to push the whole thing. Turn it. Tighten it down. Alright, now I'm going to put it back and you're just going to tighten both of these a little bit. Nothing too tight because you don't want to break anything. Set it up to safety, safety. Those lined up beautiful. You'll still hear that affirmative click. That's good. You're going to start putting pins back now. That's where on the downhill slope, so you're going to push that one in. I'm going to use the back side of this little doodad. I'm going to kind of tap it. I'm going to use a screwdriver. Just tap it just a little bit, nothing too forceful. Okay, and now I'm going to flip it around right now that we're on the edge.
Looks like this one actually stopped for 1 hour.
No, it's still going, it's still going.
Are you sure? Does not count. I guess 1 hour, 1 minute.
Yeah, it's still running.
Alright.
And you just kind of want that to be seated enough so that it won't catch on anything. There you go. And, it pokes back out a little bit on this side, no big deal. There we go. So that ought to sit flat, flush, beautiful. Okay. Now we're going to take our safety and we're going to work on putting it back in.
Now, being an old enthusiast of real steel guns, I would not necessarily encourage you using metal to tap on your body parts because that will scratch it, but it works for him and it's his gun, so he can tap on it with metal all he wants. Alright, slow down, tell him what you just did.
Alright, so what I just did is I took this piece here. This is going to be your magazine release. I pushed it straight through, like so.
That's the part that actually holds the magazine in.
That's the part that holds the magazine in. I flipped it over. I took that spring that we caught earlier, dropped it down on top of it, and then I took your button here, I pushed it in. Now you're going to use this, you're going to push all the way through, ideally.
Push the button in.
Push the button in, and then you're going to take your spring. And remember, now we're doing righty-tighty, so, crap, it didn't go through, so I'm going to push it back in.
Did you lose the spring?
Nope. Right. So righty-tighty, you're going to try and get it to grab. There we go, there she went, 1. And now you're going to look over here, so it's caught now. That's good. You're going to keep spinning it. 2, 3. I like to spin it, let's see, that'll be, I think, 4 times right there. There we go, that'll do it. 4, I think. I'll do 1 more revolution just to hold everything in nice and tight. And this part does require just a little bit of finicking and finessing.
Let me hold the
There
button
she
in
goes.
for you. You got it.
Alright, well the button holds itself in.
Okay.
Alright, there she goes. So now I'm going to use the screwdriver.
You're caught on this side though.
There we go. So now she sits all nice and pretty. She looks alright. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to put my... Oop, right, that fell off last time too. There it is. I'm going to put my bolt release back in. So we're just going to shimmy it through.
Okay, now hold that out so I can show them a picture of what actually just fell out on you.
So this little piece right here.
Okay, hold on. Let me get things put together.
Scribe or something. That just fell out on me. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal if it falls out. You just put it right back on.
Hold still. Hold still. Alright, let me turn the flash on. Okay. Alright.
Alright, so you're just going to push this right through. Should.
So when it says push this right through, that darker metal piece went in the hole with a button of your bolt release going up, or pointing upwards in relation to the weapon itself.
You're going to have to fiddle with it until you can get it to seat in such a way, so you're going to want to try and push up on it. The goal is to get it to catch. So actually what I think I'm going to try this time is pushing down on that side and up over here. There we go. Okay, so what I did is I pushed down right here on this little nub. That's your bolt catch.
Hold on, let me get a picture of that. Oh.
And then
Hold on just a second. Hold still. Now point to that nub right there. Alright, put down on that. Then that is on the right hand side of the lower.
And then I pushed up on this side, and now I'm going to slip that little pin back in. Once the pin's in, now we're pretty well all uphill from here.
That's what you said last time.
Yep. Now it's really uphill. Or downhill, or whatever one it is.
Yeah, uphill means we still got a battle. I think we're going downhill now.
Yeah, we're downhill. So you got to make sure that works. Mine looks to function pretty well. Everything sits right. So now we're going to take and put your motor grip back, or we're going to put the grip back on. That's a fairly simple process. You take the grip, you remember the wires, the red wire goes out the front, black wire goes out the back. And you'll notice this whenever you take yours apart, or if you choose to. And then you're going to kind of shimmy it just right. So it'll push right up. Come on. There's two little grooves that it's got to slip into just right. If it doesn't, then it won't go. There we go. So that's going to push up. You're going to pull all your wires, make sure everything sits right. Now you're going to get the little Phillips head screws, and this is where it really comes in handy to have a magnetic screwdriver. So you're going to take your screwdriver, and once again, this is where it's nice to have a little light that you can hold in and look.
And we do have a magnetic screwdriver on order, but
This one's
it
magnetic.
didn't show. Is that one magnetic
Yeah.
too? Good. I got a long one on order for taking off the whatever you call that post that you mount the stock of gun. Buffer tube on. Thank you.
Alright, I'm going to get the other one. Hang.
And now remember, you've got 5 different holes here that you're supposed to be, or that this could go into. These 2 screws go in the 2 little holes.
Okay. Once that's apart, you have to put your motor back in. Now, the red wire does something funny. It's going to wrap around the side and then come up. And it's very important that you get it to wrap around the side, otherwise you're going to have a whole bunch of excess wire. So both of them are going to come up the back, so I'm going to kind of show the camera. So you see how it kind of wraps around to the side over to there. And so you're going to wrap it around the side.
Okay, now let me see if I can get a good picture of this. I tried earlier and it didn't work out, so we're going to I'm going to make sure my flash is turned on. The concern here is that red wire, if it's not positioned right, it's going to bind up the motor when it goes in. So once he gets this in position, I'm going to try and get a
My
picture.
red wire is pinched.
Uh-oh, pinched red wire. That's a problem.
Did I emphasize earlier in the video, slow is steady?
So now we're backtracking a little bit, taking the grip back off, I guess.
Yeah, I'm just going to pull the grip off real quick and slide that. I'm not even going to unscrew it all the way. I'm just going to unscrew it enough to pull that grip up just a little bit to relieve a little bit of pressure. Pull the red wire. Hopefully without... Nope, I'm going to take the grip all the way off. There we go. Pulled it right out where I needed it. Push that back down. And retighten. Remember, mistakes can happen. It's all part of the game. Can't fix something Not. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So now that that's all fixed up, I'm going to push the red wire around the top. Like that. And then, once that's done, you got to make sure your black wire pulls straight up. You're going to try and take a picture of this, or did you get one?
Yes, I do want to get a picture of it when you get it ready.
Alright, that should do.
Okay, flash is turned on. I'm going to use my flash in here. Alright, let's see if we can get a picture. Change my angle.
There you go, that'll
There
do.
you go.
So you'll notice the red wire is pushed around, and then you're going to take your motor. You want the positive side to where the front of the gun will be. So the positive goes where your BBs go out of, that side of the gun. You push your motor in. You're going to put your connectors back on, right where you took them off. They just push right on, no biggie. The red one's going to kind of wrap around a little bit. The black one should just lean right over and push down.
And they're connecting back to those two little metal burrs that we saw before.
Once you have that done,
remember the red, there is going to be marked positive on the motor where the red goes.
I cannot emphasize enough, make sure that you get your positive and negative sorted out right.
Can the motor accidentally go in backwards, or does it have to go in that way?
It can. Last time I put mine together, I put it in backwards
Okay.
and plugged it in, and then it clicked, and I went, oh, that was
Alright.
wrong.
That would be a problem. So what you need to take, and when you make sure when you're putting it in so the positive side of the motor is aiming towards the front end of the weapon. We are running out of little screws in our bowls, so we ought to be about done here. Alright, move your weapon a little forward because you're leaving my scene.
Sorry. So you got to push down on this with your thumb, otherwise it won't go in right. That's no biggie. It just kind of gets tiring. You just need a finger on there to hold it down. Now that we have both screws in, we can kind of start to tighten things down. And so you're going to tighten both of those down. Now at this point, before you do anything else, I'm really going to strongly recommend that you plug a battery into it and pull the trigger. That's going to tell you if everything went back together right. So let's see.
And he's terrifying the dog right now. Sorry, Radar.
So everything cycles. It looks good. So at that point, I'm going to unplug my battery, and I'm going to go ahead and put the gun together the rest of the way, and then we'll chrono it and see if it hopefully did help my problem. So you're going to put the buffer tube back on. Slide your wire through. And then you're going to take this little doodad. Oh, wait. I missed a part. So first you got to put your sling plate on. Right there. So it'll sit nice and pretty up against that. Then the buffer tube goes on. Sorry, I kind of went off frame there a minute. Buffer tube's going to sit right there. We're going to slide this screw down. Now this screw is a pain. It always has been, and I have a sensitive feeling that it always will be. Unless you have a massive screwdriver just lying around. Just slide everything down. And at this point I am going to have to go on frame to screw this in. You're going to use your long Phillips head to screw it in. So if you just give me one moment, please. I will be right back.
He just put the weapon in his lap so he can line up his buffer tube there.
There we go. Just leave it right there for now. Okay, if it starts to get tight, I'm going to go back and use this and put a little bit more torque on it. Not too much though. Buffer tube seems to be holding pretty good. Alright, now that that's done, we are on the downward slope here. Final little bit. You're going to put your stock back on. So Shimmy all your wires just right. You're going to put your front end back on. You're going to push that pin back out.
Maybe I'll pull it back.
Pull all the way back. Take the front end. Oh, alright, so that was my barrel assembly sliding out.
And don't want your barrel to fall on the ground, that's not good.
No, it's still functioning though.
So y'all can give some admiration to this beautiful camo paint job we did on it while it's sitting there.
Do that.
It's a mighty fine looking weapon.
Slide it just like that. Alrighty. And now it's just a simple pushing. Now you're just going to take a little bit to get it over that lip. I like to put it up like this. Just kind of wiggle it. There we go. Then you're going to find something and you're going to tap
That last
this
pin.
last pin right back in. That last pin's the hardest one to go in of all of them. So you do want something. Once that's in, you're all good.
Alright. And with that, we're going to take and angle this camera up so you can see where we're testing at and you can still hear us. I'm going to reach out and grab our Chrono and our BBs off the ship. And we're going to have to pause because I had somebody just arrive
I'll Chrono.
that, hold on just a second because I need to be able to video it too. We're going to pause it. We will come back with y'all. Alrighty. We're going to...
Your phone's not shooting.
That's fine.
Okay.
We're going to take and test it right now, see what kind of accomplishment was done. We've got 0.2 gram BBs in there. I'm going to hold the Chrono up, start a video on it. You go ahead and get yourself in position. And let me zoom in a little if I can on that so y'all can see what the final scores can be. Alright, 410, 408, 403.9, 403.9, 403.9, 411.
Hold up.
Might not be feeding there. 414, 415. So we've gone from approximately, woo, look at that one, 350 up to about 410 to 415 on average. So that's a pretty good climb. A little bit over our field limit, which is 400. So later on, he's going to get in there and clip off one spring.
One coil.
Excuse me, one coil off the spring, and that should drop at about 10 FPS, and that will end up getting him exactly where he needs to be. All said and done, I'm well pleased with how the day went. I think that he had great success. The gun is now shooting back where it needs to be, and hopefully y'all will find this as useful as we did.